ready? My name is Jay Hamdam, co-worker of Cecil, and my heartfelt condolences to the family of Cecil Weeks, and may God rest his soul. Thank you.
You and I grew up together at the Whitney. We met more than 2 decades ago when I was a young curator and you were new to the staff. The museum was rather overwhelming to me in those early days. I felt like a bit of an outsider in a club I had just joined. But each time I saw you, which was nearly every day, you and your dear mother Patsy, who herself served many years as a much beloved guard, always made me feel like I belonged at the Whitney with your warmth and many curious questions. Cecil, what you and I share is a love for the energy and youthfulness of the Whitney. Watching an exhibition being assembled bit by bit is like waiting for the circus to come to town. With great excitement, we anticipate that moment when everything comes together, almost always rather rushed at the end for opening night. For both of us, each exhibition is an exciting new chapter, a way that the Whitney continually renews itself and we in turn renew ourselves. I know you definitely have your favorite exhibitions, but you make each curator feel like their show is your favorite. You enthusiastically endorse every curator's exhibition, no matter how tough the subject or difficult for the public. You make each curator feel great about what they do by telling them how much you are looking forward to their show and how much the public will like it. For they all know that you have a direct line to our audiences, and an endorsement from Cecil is almost as important as a good review in the New York Times.
All right.
Amen. Oh, yes. Almost. We both love the presence of the artists, watching them perform their magic in the galleries, each in their own way. Over the years, so many of the artists have gotten to know you and felt your steady, calming presence in the galleries. Artist Glenn Ligon, who recently had a retrospective at the Whitney and is a frequent visitor, relayed the following memory. A couple of weeks ago, he went to see the Hopper drawing show with a friend. Cecil was at his post by the elevator. They greeted each other and started talking about Hopper, the move downtown to the High Line, and the upcoming biennial. Glenn's friend went in to see the exhibition while Glenn stayed behind, saying he would catch up. A half hour later, his friend found him in the same spot, happily talking to Cecil. Glenn explained to him what we all feel, that a visit to the museum is always to see the art on the walls and to talk to Cecil. For the public, as for the artists, you are the face of the Whitney. Kind-hearted, soft-spoken, gentle, helpful, and knowledgeable about what we have on view. You have had countless friends and admirers over the years, Cecil. Staff, board, and of course, oh, so many visitors. Many of them knew your name and many did not. When people, young and old and in between, arrive at the museum and see you, they know that they are at the Whitney and not just another impersonal institution. Your smiling and caring attitude sends the public the message that the Whitney is not only about the art and the artist, but about people. Cecil, I appreciate that you are so excited about the new downtown Whitney. Given your long history with the museum, you know more than most what a challenge it has been to realize a dream envisioned by a series of directors, all whom have known and admired you. Tom Armstrong, David Ross, Max Anderson, and myself. You have told me so many times over the past years how much you are looking forward to our new home. And I know your presence there would signal to our visitors, many of whom might feel that they are coming to a strange place, that the new Whitney is their home too, and they are part of our family. I am so, so sorry you will not physically be with us, but your friend. But you will truly be there in spirit. And I hope and trust that your spirit will inspire us to ensure that the Whitney is an optimistic, challenging, and human environment that always prioritizes the art, the artists, and our public the way you did. With love, admiration, and my greatest thanks for all you have done, Adam. I just wanted to end with my own comment that Cecil and I grew up together at the Whitney. Cecil started a month before I did in 1980. And even our birthdays were only a week apart and 1 year. So we used to celebrate all the time, everything that we had been through together. When I visited Cecil in the hospital just before I went on vacation, we joked about our both being at the Whitney until we were 9 years old. So I'm going to try to uphold that for Cecil, but he will be there with me. As always, Cecil was upbeat and making plans and looking forward with such positive enthusiasm to life. And that is how I will always think of him, with love in my heart. Thank you.
I'm Michael Allsop Jr., the son of Michael Allsop. I'm also Uncle Cecil's nephew, and he was my godfather. And I'm gonna let Tyron.
Yeah, we lived on 408 Green Avenue with my mother, my beloved grandmother, and my other Uncle Leroy. May they rest in peace. I always knew him to be a quiet man. He was always nice with us. I always remember, when we were younger, me and my brother and my cousins were huge wrestling fans, so he used to always get us the wrestling tapes, so we make sure we saw everything we liked, and but he was always quiet. But when there were parties, he would always talk to the adults and say hello, and give them a little small talk. But he always liked to hang with us. He always liked to know what we were doing, and he liked to talk about the kind of games we like, the kind of sports we like. We were like big Michael Jordan fans, and he was a Knicks fan. We always used to spank the Knicks all the time. Used to get on him about that. So, I'm never gonna remember what I'm seeing today with him. I'm always gonna remember all of that, and I'm gonna miss the times when he'll come and talk to us and just hang with us. He'll hang out with us the entire party. Like I would get there late sometimes, and I'll go in the room. I see my cousins and my brother there, and he'll be sitting right there. So I'm always gonna remember him, and I'm always gonna know he's gonna be sitting there with us also in spirit whenever we have these get-togethers and stuff. So I want to say, Uncle Cecil, I love you, and I'm not gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna say I'll see you later.
I want to be kind of short. That was some beautiful words by Tyron. I would like to say I remember Uncle Cecil, like saying what Tyron said, he always hang out with us every time we see him. Because we got some time together. And it was always nice, like Tyron said, to see him there with the martial arts tapes, the wrestling tapes, and just Michael Jackson stuff. It was just cool to speak to him on that. And I was talking to my sister yesterday. It was very nice to see how many people came and gave us an in-depth view of his life. Because we didn't know, excuse me, exactly what he did outside of spending time with us. So it was nice to hear people say nice words about him and see how he was. And I know he was very proud of his job and especially his family. So I want to say that I love you, Uncle Cecil, and I'll always remember you. And always remember that spectacular throw you had. Thank you.
I would also like to thank everybody from the Whitney Museum because he really cared about that place. And I would like to thank you for coming over and greeting us and giving your condolences. So I really appreciate that. Thanks.
Yumilta Olsop, and I am Cecil's older sister. Younger than him, but older than the younger sister. And I just want to thank everyone for coming out, and it's really wonderful to see so many Whitney family here, because everyone is saying that was his life. We loved him, but he loved the Whitney. I'm going to try to share a little bit about Cecil. We call him Cecil. I know most people say Cecil, but we call him Cecil. So if I'm saying Cecil, we're also correct. So I'd just like to share a little bit about Cecil with you guys. Cecil Joseph Weeks was born in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on July 17, 56, to Norman Joseph Weeks and Patsy Marilyn Balfour Weeks. He was the second of 4 children. He migrated to New York on March 22, 1972, and was excited to begin his new life in America. Cecil attended Alexander Hamilton Vocational Technical High School, where he graduated with honors. As a tall guy, he was often told that he should play professional basketball, but he loved the baseball and the New York Yankees. Cecil had a black belt in karate, not because he was professionally trained, but because he studied every aspect of the art and mastered it. He competed against many trained in the martial arts and was often victorious. Cecil had a very quiet spirit. Though reserved, he had a warm personality and loved to laugh. Ever curious, he was an avid reader and was always eager to learn something new. Cecil loved children, and even though he had none of his own, he frequently took his nephews for haircuts and to baseball games. He also enjoyed sharing his love of wrestling and movies with them, as you heard from them. Cecil was also a pro-Trinidadian. He loved the steel pan, and every Labor Day, he would enjoy watching the masqueraders on Eastern Parkway, and his signature move was... Cecil worked in several neighborhood retail outlets until he landed his dream job in 1980 at the Whitney Museum of American Art. Cecil loved the museum. All he could do is talk about the museum. Even when he was sick and he was at home, he just kept saying, I love to work, I want to go back to work, I gotta get back to work. And I said, you gotta heal first, you have to heal first. He said, yes, but I gotta get back to work. Cecil loved the museum so much, he gained a thorough knowledge of its permanent and traveling installations. Every time there was an exhibit, when I talked with him, he would tell us, come and see this exhibit. He'd give you a pass to the museum. He can tell you everything about what's going on. If you should come, if you shouldn't come. This is a great one. He always told you everything you needed to know about the art, the exhibit. In fact, he was so excited about the new Whitney location. That's all he talked about. He texted me, he would say, oh, the new museum is opening in 2015 and I can't wait to get there. Unfortunately, he sadly died before he could make that move. Cecil is survived by his sisters, Yumilta Alsop, Catherine Weeks Mead, his aunts, Vesta Thomas, Vida Coker, and Lady Balfour. His brother-in-laws, Michael Alsop Sr. and Kurt Mead. His good friend Eslyn Vinson, nephews Robert Smith, Michael Menelek Mustafa Alsop, Tyrone Weeks and Hollister Brown. His nieces, Latoya Weeks, Anna Alsop and Sierra Mead. He also had 2 brothers. My father had 2 older sons, Norman Joseph Weeks and Keith Weeks, and I just wanted to mention them, as well as many cousins, family, and friends. I know that after today, I'm not going to see him in person, but I will remember all the wonderful things and all the wonderful time that we spent together, especially the last 2 weeks when he was ill. I think we spent more time getting to know each other and really hugging and loving, as opposed to in many, many years went by. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for being here, and thank you.
Yeah.
the eldest also and brother-in-law, to Cecil's sister, and my youngest brother, Michael also. I am here to introduce one of the old subs to sing His Eyes on the Sparrow. Kezia also. Will you come forward and present this song?
Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel and long for heaven and home?
Yes, it's all right.
When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on the sky, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sky, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sky, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing
or someone, Esther, is going to come up and speak before the main speaker.
Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
It's hard for me to stand here to talk about Cecil. He was my friend for over 22 years. And he has, my daughter is his goddaughter. He has my daughter as his daughter. Cecil was a great man. He treated me with respect. I treated him with respect. We were so close. I can't believe. I can't finish. I'm weak. Thank you all very much. I will miss him. I want him to live on forever. I will be next.
All right. God will take care. May we put our hands and welcome the man of God to do the holy, Pastor Insker also. Come on, yeah, right.
I was in Lushoto, Tanzania, on my way to Dar es Salaam, and we had to stop at a rest stop. And I saw something I never thought I would ever see. Here was a group of people with a coffin shaped like a pink fish, and they climbed on the bus with their coffin and put it right in the bus, and the passengers came on and would greet the mourners who were all dressed in white. And they were traveling on. I found this strange. I'd never seen people transport a body on a public bus before. But that wasn't all. I was in Masareka, and then I recognized that when someone died, they kept the body in the house while they had a wake, and friends and relatives would come by and celebrate this life. And there was a custom that that person should be buried in the very yard of their home. So their cemetery was actually where you lived, your home, because it was felt you belonged there. And I got to thinking that every culture in this world has funeral ceremonies. Here it is. Every culture. And I asked myself, why? What's the purpose of a funeral? Why do we spend so much time with funerals? And today is just another example of that. And I found out that there are 4 main reasons why we have funerals. 1, to remember and honor the deceased. 2, to allow us to grieve together as a community. 3, it is a moment to reflect on the afterlife, what comes after this. And 4, it is to remind each one of us, as Essence so rightly said, our day will come. Dust to dust, and ashes to ashes. In some cultures, people are paid to mourn the dead. Did you know that? And the more you loved your dead one, the more mourners you would pay. And the more you wanted people to know this was a great person, the more money you would give the mourners, and they could really put on a cry. And you've been to funerals where you have people crying, I want to throw myself in the grave. And you say, wow, she loved him. Oh, they loved her. But you see, funerals give us an opportunity to honor the one who has died, to reflect on the value of his life. You know, it's the one time in a person's life you never hear anything bad about them. It's the only time in a person's life there's only good to be said. I would be sad to think at your funeral no one had anything good to say about you. And so today we listen to Cecil. I too say Cecil, by the way. And we hear about his tenderness, his love. I remember just this tall, quiet, benign-looking guy. I like that word, benign. It means good. We harm no one. I remember him quiet and smiling, very benign. But I'm finding out so much more about him today, from his colleague at the Whitney, from his nephews, from Cecil, who talked about the fact that he took her daughters his own. That's what funerals do. It says this life had value. It says Cecil's life had value. He was not just a number on this planet. He was not just an entity that picked up space. His life intersected with other people's lives. His life had value. But the other reason that we have funerals is to allow us to grieve communally. I must confess that in America, in our modern rush to get ahead in life, we have lost a lot of that sense of community. We have become a very individualistic society. It's about me, about what I want. But a funeral reminds us that the loss of any one of us is a loss to all of us.
Amen.
It reminds us that with this person gone, there's a part of our communal fabric that has been torn away. And so instead of just a wife grieving, or a sister grieving, or a nephew grieving, or a niece grieving, we all come together and say, we will miss this person. I remember growing up in the Caribbean, whenever anyone died, they would be awake. I don't know if many of you remember awake. Yeah. And sometimes for a whole week, we would be going to that person's house and we would, well, I didn't drink coffee then, I was too small. But you would eat crackers and cheese and guess what would happen? Usually, at this wake, we would be talking about the person. I remember when Cecil beat the karate guy and floored him. And we laugh because at this moment, we are all grieving a loss as we remember the wonderful life that has just been taken away from us. That smile will never be there again. That person in the museum who loved visitors will never be there again. That person who took my daughter will never be there again. That guy who came and showed us Bruce Lee films will not be there again. We miss him. And we grieve as a community. We no longer have weight because we are so busy, so we have a viewing of a few hours. But it just goes to show that in this rush to get ahead, we need to stop and remember we are community. And that's what we're doing today. I'm sure some of you could have been working. I'm sure some of you left your job, you left things to do. And you came here because you are grieving with humility. You're grieving with Kath. You're grieving with all of these relatives and saying, we will miss him too. We share your loss. But there's another reason we have funerals, like I said, to honor that life, to grieve, but also to reflect on the afterlife. Because every culture has a view that this life is not all there is. That this life is really just a preparation for life to come. Hindus believe, for instance, that you come back in reincarnation, and the quality of your life here will determine if you come back on a higher level or you come back maybe as a worm, If you're Muslim, you believe that depending on the quality of your life here, you will go to paradise and be with Allah and all the great men who have lived. If you're Buddhist, you believe in going to nirvana, that eternal state of peace and bliss and of no pain or hurt or pleasure, just as one with all the spirits in the universe. If you're a Christian, you believe there's a land that is fairer than they, and by faith we can see the Father waits over the way to prepare us a dwelling place there. We believe in that better world to come there. That land where we'll never grow old. And some of us who have grown up in a Christian tradition, we have sung songs like, I've got a mansion that's over the hilltop. We believe this life is not all there is. And I must say, if this life was all there is, we'd be some very sorry people. Most of us would be sorry people because most of us are not the Bill Gates of this world with the billions to travel wherever we want. Most of us are not the rich and the powerful. Most of us get trampled upon. We need to get up whether it's snowing. You know, I must tell you this. I used to live in New York City, in Brooklyn. And one of the things that was most frustrating, especially for me coming from the Caribbean where there's sunshine all year round, was when I had to get up in the middle of winter to move the car. You know what I'm talking about? If not, they would give you a ticket. One day, a guy got so mad at me because I double parked and I didn't get down in time and he had to go out, he cut my tires. And you know what I'm talking about? That hustle and bustle and you've got to work and pay the bills and deal with the landlord and deal with the super and deal with the cops and deal with this and that. There must be something better. Well, guess what? Funerals remind us that after we exit this world, there is hope. Amen. For a better world. Amen. This life is not all there is. And so funerals provide a ritualistic send-off, as it were. It is saying, we hope to meet you yonder. Funerals is that moment when we recognize there is more to life than 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
But if all of this is true, we grieve the lost one. We honor and celebrate the life that was gone. And we reflect on the fact that this life is just a preparation for the life to come. Then I believe the most important thing that a funeral does is to tell you and to tell me, my turn will come. Yes.
Truly.
That my life must be more than just a flat screen TV and a Lexus. My life must be more than just Labor Day parade and dancing for Labor Day Carnival or going to my parties. It has to be more than scotch and gin. It tells me that my life must be worth something. I can't be just me selfishly doing my thing. I can't care about anyone else. It reminds me that even when I'm passing to job on the subway, I can at least say sorry if I bump someone. I can at least hold a turnstile for someone to enter. I can at least give a quarter to a poor guy. It tells me that my life must be worth something. Because the value of a person's life is not in the wealth he has accumulated or the degrees that he has. The value of your life and my life is, if, as the song said, if I could help somebody as I pass along, if I could cheer somebody with a word or song, if I could show some stranger that he's traveling along, if I could spread love's message as the master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. I love that song. I just love what it says. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain.
Oh, yes, hallelujah.
If I could help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain.
Amen, amen.
And the great man Moses, he says to God, he says, Lord, no matter how long we live, our life is still short, full of sorrow and hardship. And then we are dead. And he said something that I have tried to live by. He says, teach us to number our days, that we might apply our heart to wisdom. Someone once said that strength is wasted on the youth, and wisdom is wasted on the old. And as I reflected on that, I knew why. Because when you're young, Mustafa, when you're young, Mikey, when you're young, Anna, Tyrone, when you're young, you think, oh, I've got all my life, you're strong, your brain is, you're not forgetful, you have all your teeth, you're not crinkled up and wrinkled up, there's no arthritis preventing you from doing what you need to do. And you think life will be one constant party. You never think that one day I could be that crippled old lady walking across the street. You never think I could be that balding, pot-bellied old guy who needs someone to help him up the bus. And so our strength and the opportunities that are given to the young are wasted in useless living. Many young people waste their lives and their opportunities. They waste college instead of finishing the degree in 4 years to become professional students. And so all the strength and the opportunities that are open are going to waste. And then you come to 60. Now you have all the wisdom. Experience has taught you a lot. Experience has shown you so much, but now you're old and crinkled and arthritic. Now you're blind and your teeth are falling out. Your ears are deaf, you can't hear. And now at this time that you have all this wisdom, nobody wants you because many of us have to retire. Yes. When our brains and our knowledge of the job is best, they want the room for the younger ones.
Yes. Yes, preach on.
So Moses said, teach us to remember life doesn't last forever. I'm not going to be always young and vibrant. You know, I remember when I was considered a youth. And in our church, there was a game of young people against older people. And I played on the youth team. A couple of years back, there was another young people against old people. And you know what team I was on? Not only that, I remember when my hair was naturally black. It needed no help. No, it does. I remember when I would stand and I would do push-ups with my brother on my back. And I would stand and let him kick me in my stomach. I was strong, I had 6-pack then. Now I have a keg. I remember those days, I remember. But then you get up one day and you recognize, I have a birthday. And you don't like the number. You don't like the number. Teach us to number our days. And I believe that as a young man, when I decided to make Christ my Savior, Amen. To give my life in service to my fellow man was one of the wisest things I could have done.
Praise the Lord. Amen. Praise the Lord.
Teach us to number our days. Because one day, I will be there or you will be in a casket just like this. And all the people always say good things at funerals. What will your children be thinking when you're gone? What will your wife really feel when you're gone? Will she be saying, thank God? Will this world be a worse place because you're gone? Or will somebody be able to sleep tonight because you're not going to come to steal? What will your real obituary say when your turn comes? Just as certain as that. One of the reasons why death is such a terrible thing, because for those who love, you will never have that person again. You can dream about them, you think about them, you remember them, but that smile won't be there anymore. That heart won't be there anymore. That special way she prepared that meal won't be there. That person will no longer be there. Will you be like one of those who cry and regret because when they were alive, you failed to show love?
Lord, mercy.
So before I take my seat, I would like to extend 2 invitations to you. The first one is to recognize that this life is not all there is. For it is given to men once to live and then judgment. God will require of you an accounting of your life. But Jesus Christ came that whosoever will might be saved. That no matter what kind of life you've lived, all the mistakes in your life, you messed up, there is hope, there's a second chance. There is hope for those who accept Christ as the Savior. Those who recognize, God, I've not done all I could, but someone recognize there is hope. I'd like to extend to you that hope, and all it takes is to acknowledge today, I need divine help. And say, Lord, forgive me for what I've done wrong. Forgive me for my past sins and my selfishness. Forgive me for my envy and all my cheating. And give me a second chance through Jesus Christ. And in that moment, grace is extended to you. And your life can begin anew. And you can go visit a church and ask a pastor, take a Bible and begin to read. And you will find in its pages words of wisdom and comfort that will tell you, in spite of all that you have been, there's a God who loves you.
Yes.
And the other invitation I'd like to make to you is to count each day as valuable.
Oh, yes.
Because we all have plans. I plan to officiate at my son's wedding in just over a month's time. But I don't know if I'll be there.
Ah, Lord.
On my way back to Delaware, you can then hear the news that you will be visiting me in Delaware as I lay there. We don't know when.
True.
But we know now.
Mercy, Jesus.
There's a son here who needs to call his mother and say, Mom, I've not been the kind of son you want. Forgive me. I love you for what you've done. There's a daughter here who needs to call her father and say, no, Dad, I've not been the kind of child that I need to be, but you've been a good father. Oh, forgive me. There's some husband who needs to call a wife. There's a friend who needs to call a friend. There's somebody who needs to pick up that phone and make that call you've been wanting to call. Aunt Lucy so long, but you're just so busy. Let's do it now, because there will come a day when the news will come. That phone will ring and you'll hear, Dad is dead. Auntie Lucy is dead. And then you will wish you had. So this afternoon, don't wait. As you get home this evening, pick up that phone. Write that email, send that text,
Yes.
make that visit, make it right. Let's count our days, make them useful. Let's remember, my brother and sister, this life is just a preparation for the life to come. And our value as human beings is not in our fancy clothes, our cars, our houses. It is in how we have been able to make some other traveler on life's difficult road easier. To put a smile on somebody's face, to put joy in somebody's heart. That's the value of a life. May you and I, when our number is up, when we lie there, be able to hear not from friends and relatives who will always say good things at your funeral, but from the God of the universe. This was a life well lived. This was a life well lived. And that day, when God rewards His faithful,
Thank you, Jesus.
you too will enter into that joy, in that land where we never go.
Amen. I would like to say first, I'm not a paid mourner.
This is the beauty
Like these. To know that even in our sadness, you have not abandoned us. And while we don't always understand the way life works itself out, it's good to know that